All right. I hope you all are doing great here. So I'm not sure what's next I want in my life. Most of you must be looking all of us and thinking, these people have their life sorted. They are successful. They must be knowing what they want in their life and probably must be earning pretty well. Let me break your perception, at least on the part that we always know what we want next in our life. I'm an engineer, entrepreneur, and a dreamer. Yet at times, uncertainty looms over my calculated decisions. Even if you are a business owner, a hustler, or a dreamer, or an entrepreneur, doesn't matter. It's perfectly fine to find yourself in a no man's land for a while. We often create our impressions, perception based on outward appearances, but the true understanding lies in how you understand or you try to understand beyond the facades. This involves empathy, understanding, observations, and basically the ability to look beyond the meanings. Just like icebergs you must have seen in Titanic and other movies, the most of part of the life of a human being lies beneath the surface. You can't see it most of the time. The story of Mukul Juneja as an entrepreneur goes back to 5th class of my schooling days. My dad bought me an ancient second-hand computer at that time, probably as old as I was at that time, so I called it ancient. It used to have a belt inside it, that it was as old as that. The belt used to move and keep it running. Just like any school kid, I love playing, video games and all, so I would go to any website just to download GTA Vice City, Road Rash, etc. And many of you as a tech-savvy crowd must have known that if I'm going to these websites, I would be getting computer viruses, and so did I. So that resulted in my operating system getting crashed. It was a repeated story, month-to-month sort of a thing. And every time I'll be calling a technician in saying, I need the repair for my system. And every time that person used to come, whom we used to call engineer at that time, would be charging about 2,000 rupees, and the story would go on for months and months. And even the technology was not as advanced as it is today. So every time you are installing an operating system, you have to install the drivers separately for speaker, mics, etc. So I thought, Mukul, if you are facing this problem, people in the neighborhood must be doing so. So why not you go there and start charging them and do it for them? So I started charging 500 to 1,000 rupees, got a copy from that person, technician, learned how to do so. And apparently over a time, I had a corpus of about 25,000 rupees with me. And that time in 2007-8, when a 25-30 rupees of a pocket money would get you a hot samosa and a good drink, 25,000 felt like a blessing. So I handed over most of it to my mom. First time I saw the tears of happiness in her eyes. I couldn't understand the emotions that well, but I knew that I've done something well. So it was a clue in terms of how my journey is going to happen with me. In high school, my science teacher used to complain to me, probably mostly in the 10th class, that Mukul, you are not studying my subject, you are not focusing on it. And my answer would be, ma'am, next year I want to take commerce science, not really sure about it. And I always wanted to pursue CA post my 12th because all my cousins are CA only. And as the fate of most of the engineers turns out in India, a few relatives came at my place and said, beta, tum IIT clear kar sakte ho. You can clear the IIT. So go for non-med. I know IIT ka bhi clear nahi hua waise, but theek hai. In 2014-15, when I was in my 11th, 12th class, programming courses become very popular. So like everyone would be going for them, learning to get a better job, grab good opportunities. And I had C++ in my 12th class, so I knew those courses are important. So what I did, I downloaded those courses, made plenty of copies in different CDs, started reaching out to the college student and started selling to them. And this time also I made around 25,000-30,000, probably in a very fast time than what I did last time. And I thought that this is something I really want to do. It's fun to earn money, to do something of your own. But I was still not certain how I want to take this entrepreneurial journey or what is entrepreneurial journey forward. All these clues were adding up, giving me something like, Mukul, I want to start something of my own. I want to do my own business. But I was not sure how. So I recall a moment that recently happened with me. So my physics teacher in last lecture of 12th class was asking everyone in the class what you want to do in your life. When everyone was saying IIT, DTU, etc., my answer was, ma'am, even if I make to IIT, I want to start something of my own. I want to start my own business. Funnily, my teacher remembered that recently I met her in one of the annual functions of schools. And she told me, Mukul, no matter what you accomplish or achieve in your life, this statement of yours will never let me forget you. And still she tells everyone in the upcoming batches that this was what's said by one of the students. I never make it to IIT, though I make it to one of the engineering college where the average placement was between 3 to 5 lakhs per annum. And I knew this is not what I want. When I can make 25, 30,000 every month by not going to college, this is not what I want. So the journey of Mukul Juneja as an entrepreneur started with my very first venture that I did as a freshman in the college. The business was around reselling of stationery, books, notebooks, etc. I made a website, was managing through it. I went to a few of my friends, pitched them my business, and asked them to come along. 4 of us came together without any exposure, without any experience, just a vague plan, how to do it, and we went into it. The idea was to pitch to college students who just completed their 12th and needed mentorship regarding what college they want and all, or to the students from the college who want to sell their previous year notes, stationery, etc. It was simple. We did make money as well. But the problem was we didn't have any defined KRAs or KPIs in place. It was very difficult to keep each other accountable for what we are doing. No stern management was there. So I decided to bid farewell to that first initiative of mine. And yes, that was my first failed initiative. That was heartbreaking. I again found myself in a state of uncertainty. That failed initiative cracked through the facade that I was unknowingly building for myself and the people around me. It basically exposed the whole insecurities and vulnerabilities that I was hiding beneath the, very self or carefully curated image that we project in public. So the whole experience was a very humbling one. The reality checks and everything happened with me, like what I did wrong, what I failed, and was it too early for me. I started applying to some international programs. And luckily, I got an opportunity from one of the companies in UK. Uttarakhand wala UK nahi, United Kingdom. But I guess my college was more concerned about my attendance than my career, so they never gave the permission for that. I was really saddened by the whole situation. But as they say, when one door closed, the other one opens up, and that's what happened with me. I went on applying for internship, got 3 of them. I did first in morning, then in the afternoon, then at night. And once the whole internship period got over, I started doing freelancing. I got project freelancing was pretty in. I collected a corpus of about 1 lakh rupees by that time. I used that money in my business. But the thing that was more important than money at that time was the 2 learnings I got. First was how to manage pressure or do multitasking. And second was the difference between risk and a calculative risk. To make it more clear, the difference between both of these, let's say I'm running on a single lane road. I know that there's no turning back. And there's a mean big bull that is charging toward me. Me being able to cross through it or making through it, the chances reduces. And on the other hand, let's say if I have a multi-lane road, I can always jump to the other side when I see that bull charging towards me. In industry, we call that jumping as pivoting. I can pivot from one point to another and get back to where I wanted to be later on when I see the market situations are better. So calculative risk is about analyzing your life or the decisions or the steps that you are making. So I analyzed my life. I thought, Mukul, I want to really do something of my own only. I don't want to get into this job market. So I analyzed my mind and everything. Like, should be having a backup. I thought, if nothing works, I can always open a tuition center, start teaching programming to other people. Or if not, I have learned programming languages or coding that much that I can always get an entry-level job at any time. So that was secured. So with this newly bought clarity in my mind and zeal in my heart, I said, Mukul, let's go for it once again. So I started another business. While I was working on this, same seniors of my college, started joking around and saying, "Kya yaar mazak? पिछली बार भी शुरू करा था, कुछ नहीं हुआ, फिर से शुरू कर दिया. यही मजाक लगा हुआ है इनका." It was disheartening. But being an underdog sometimes can be a great advantage. You can fly undetected under the radar and achieve more than what was expected from you, even more than what you expect from yourself. I kept on working on the same. Probably those people were joking around me because they thought that I am the same amateur Mukul who didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't have the experience. But they didn't know what exactly was lying under the surface. That was known to just me. I kept working, I kept moving forward, and apparently we achieved the success that we were looking forward to. We started working with clients like HUL, Reliance, Tata, etc., both directly and indirectly at that time. But believe me, this didn't come easy. A lot of bids that I was making on projects, going to different clients, were getting rejected. After asking for the reasons, they were quoting that you seems pretty young. We are not sure. Would you be able to, manage our projects or not? Down the line, I started growing my beard to add few years to my appearances. I still have a beard for that sake. Okay, so luckily we got our first big break. That was a crypto wallet. The team which was already working on that application left in between. So we had a window of about 12 days to complete that project if in case we wanted. They were, in a situation they needed help. So they apparently didn't care if we are young enough or not. They gave the project. We worked for 18 hours a single given day regularly for those 12 days. There were days that we even, were sleeping on floors or desk in the office. The office that we made from the 1 lakh that I initially made. And, we made that to reality. That crypto wallet went on doing millions of dollars in revenue, and the client was so happy that he ended up giving more projects from his arsenal and from his network. And while this all was happening, when I used to go to colleges at time in between, my college teacher would be saying, Mukul, you should enjoy your life. The college life won't come again. See your friends, they are partying or clubbing at times, you should be doing so. My answer to myself would be, I want to create a legacy. That's not how it's gonna come. I'm not sure how it would, but that's not the way that was pretty sure and clear in my mind. No, but what was the best thing that happened? Being a third-year student in my college, I went to my college for hiring the fourth-year students. And even better, those who were making fun of me were sitting in the same pre-placement talk that I was giving in that college to hire those people. So those of you who are scared to dream big, take a clue from me and please dream big, because dreams do come true. Later that year, I ended up selling that company. I made a good sum out of it. And just like any college kid, I spent a lot of it on buying cars, expensive watches. I became a spoiled brat. I don't shy away from accepting it because those mistakes are the one that made me who I am today. Those are the mistakes I learned from, I worked on, and I am Mukul Juneja standing in front of you here. So, but the good things worked alongside. I was able to pay my college fees, return the rest of the remaining money that my dad gave initially to the college. So the whole college I did by myself, the engineering. So that was a good experience. By now, I learned how to do business, how to grow business, get clients, pitch your business to generate sales. That's something I learned. So down the year, I started yet another organization that went on doing really amazing in the field of crypto, cloud, and the applications around the same. Life was good. Everything was going stable. We had 100+ employees who were working for us from our offices. But then COVID happened. COVID-19 made situations such a mess for us that we were not sure how exactly things would go. Everyone like us were in a critical situation. Crores of money of the invoices pending were left in market. We were not sure would they come. The livelihoods of all those employees were dependent on the salaries that we were paying. We were not sure would we be able to pay the salaries or not. So we took a loan, injected some money from our pocket, and managed the situation. We were not really sure would the money that we are putting in, would that ever come back or not. So people were even dying around us. We were not sure, should we be scared for our life or for the businesses? There was no clarity around it. So we planned that we should just be sustaining, just be focusing on sustaining it right now. Nothing to grow the business, nothing to do something extravagant or anything too big, just to sustain. And luckily, when COVID got over, we got out of it, and it was starting to come to normal. Then I decided to sell most of my stake in that organization. Later, when life of most of the people was coming to normal situation, I found myself in a situation of uncertainty again. I was not sure, should I be starting another venture? Should I be going back to my same venture? Or should I join some other company to learn or get the exposure? That's when I got to know about a term called consultation or consulting. This was it was like navigating through the uncharted waters for me at that time, the consulting world. So I started consulting with few organizations and lately to the bigger ones in the field of IoT, AI, Gen AI, etc. And the main focus was to learn the process from them. The people who are running such a big, companies, how they manage the process, how they manage so many people, how they, generate or maintain the flow of finances that goes on in a company. While I was in this process, I came across a company called Muro. I joined them as director and CTO. That's who I am right now, serving with them as director and CTO. So that company has its headquarters in New York in US and Delhi in India, and we are working with bigs of this market like Nike, Adidas, Apple, etc. in different capacities. Embarking on this journey of nurturing the global organization, I learned a lot of things in different verticals or cohorts like marketing, operations, technology, how to manage them all. This learning and exposure helped me to learn how to adapt for ever-changing market landscapes. Even this helped me and my partners to grow the organization by more than 200% over the last few years. And personally, I have grown immensely from what I see myself I was previously. The life of an entrepreneur can be compared to the life or the situation of a sailor going through the waters or the uncharted waters that are not known. There would be situations when the horizons that you can see around you would disappear behind the veil of fogs, or the compass that you are using to navigate would start spinning randomly, uncontrollably, and you would have no direction to go for. But believe me, that same uncertainty will act as a guiding star for you people, because that uncertainty will make you go through the passage or the roads that are not traveled enough by the people. Or it will help you to get out of the unforeseen weathers that most give up or most are not used to manage or go through. The example is in front of you. 2015, Mukul, who wasn't sure about what he wanted in life, stands here 2024 giving you a TEDx. I have mentored more than hundreds of people under the initiatives of state government as the entrepreneurial curriculum by the Delhi state government and the Atal Tinkering initiatives by the central government. I'm grateful that I was able to change the life of so many people around me and generate more than 500 jobs so far for people around me in different capacities. Before I conclude my talk here, I want all of you to diligently answer one question to you yourself. How big will you make if you know you can't fail? Amazing, right? The answer to this question still motivates me, and it pushes me to be comfortable with my uncertainties, to take risk. Today, I want all of you to take a lesson. Be comfortable with your uncertainties, take risk, trust the process, and focus on you until the focus is on you. Thank you so much.